From Chicago streets to the courts beat, Sal Scott Dan on the podcast seat. Bulls breaking news, talking stats and views. Every player, every play, we never lose. Horns over hoops, where the Bulls troop. From game analysis to fan scoop.
What is good, Horniac Nation and Bulls fans worldwide, and welcome back to another edition of the Horns Over Hoops podcast. I am your host for the evening, Sal Bass. However, today, Dan Gracie and Scott Berman have the day off, so I am joined by Justin of JTALKS Hoops because of the fact that I know that the hot topic right now is Ayo Dosunmu leaving Chicago and heading to the Minnesota Timberwolves to hopefully win and contend for a title. So I thought, who better to give me the perspective of both cities, so to speak, than somebody who lives in Minnesota. So immediately, as soon as I know he went to Minnesota, I'm like, oh, Justin is going to love this trade. So everybody, welcome Justin. Justin, welcome back. I think it's your third time on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, third time, second time this season too.
Yeah. All right, how you been doing? You been watching some Olympics? Or?
I'm not a Winter Olympics guy, bro. I don't understand anything that's happening. What they should do is they really, at every single event, they need to just pull a random out of the crowd so I can see a normal person do it, so I can understand what I'm watching. Because like speed skating, I don't know how fast you're supposed to go on skates. So when I see the times, I'm like, that might be cool. If I see a regular Joe take 30 seconds to do it, and then whoever wins it does it in like 9, I'm like, okay, now I get it. We should do that for the Summer Olympics too, though. Like, pull people out of the crowd, make them do shot put, make them do hurdles. That'd make the Olympics better.
I'm with you. Like Winter Olympics, Olympics in general, like I'm ashamed to admit I don't really watch them ever as much as I should. Like, everyone raves about it, but I'm like you, like I'll see a time and I'm like, oh, is that good? I mean, the snowboarding, like I'll catch the snowboarding and some of the flips they do, and I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. But yeah, the other events, it's not that I don't care. It's just it doesn't interest me. So we are here today to discuss the Ayo Dosunmu trade more in depth because the Chicago Bulls roster was essentially flipped up and turned on its head this season. We've had probably one of the most entertaining and probably head-scratching seasons, starting with a 5-0 win streak to losing the next 6 games to trading half of our roster to an injury-riddled season. It has been quite an eventful Chicago Bulls season. So I can't wait to discuss that. And later on in the show, we will be doing, since we are on the cusp of the All-Star weekend, we're going to be breaking down kind of our hot takes for the All-Star game, what to expect and what we're kind of excited for. However, I like to start every show, as you know, Justin, with a little game of I like to call Tuesday Trivia. Did not make up the name. It just so happens this show comes out on Tuesday, and Trivia and Tuesday have the same letters. If you're ready to get the Tuesday Trivia started, I'm ready to ask the question.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So, because you are from Minnesota, and because the All-Star game is essentially we're in the heat of it right now. Right, we're on the weekend right now at the time of this recording. We're in LA, I believe. Are we at the what is it, the Intuit Dome, or it's at the Intuit Dome?
Yeah,
right?
the Clippers place. Yeah.
Incredible, beautiful stadium, by the way. Because we're there for the All-Star weekend, I wanted to test your knowledge being from Minnesota, and that is, can you name me the last time that Minnesota hosted an All-Star game?
I know it's in the 90s. Feel like it's 94.
Oh, right on the money. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So the last time Minnesota hosted the NBA All-Star game was on February 13th, 1994. Oddly enough, it's also February 13th when we're recording this. At the Target Center in Minneapolis, it is the 44th edition of the All-Star Game, where the Eastern Conference defeated the Western Conference 127-118. Bulls legend Scottie Pippen was named MVP that year. So that's a good All-Star game to be at then. I feel like those 90s were home to some really, really good All-Star games, man. I feel like since the 90s we haven't seen an All-Star game like we've seen before. They keep changing rules and what have you.
It's too hard to know what they do now. Just East West, like make it simple, guys. We're overthinking it. If it takes you longer than 30 seconds to explain what the All-Star game is, then you've failed.
Yeah. If I need to like read a super long forum from Adam Silver explaining rules and what they're doing this year because last year failed, I'm already losing interest. So again, we're touching on Minnesota, and like I said, the Bulls roster had been shaken up with the departure of quite possibly the fan favorite in Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu had been a treasured piece of the Bulls roster ever since he was drafted in the second round. Not only because he was just a great guy, but coming from the city of Chicago, high school in Chicago, Illinois, graduate and drafted by the Bulls in the second round. I always referenced him. It almost gave us vibes of mini D Rose. He kind of gave us that mini D Rose feeling again. He has since been traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where your hometown team there, even though you don't cheer for them, which I still want to know. Like, I know it dates back to history, but despite the Bulls being essentially, for lack of better words, a dumpster fire, I respect you because you still maintain the fandom of the Chicago Bulls. You could just as easily jump ship, but you chose to stick with the team, and that's much respect. So, I guess my first question about that is, how do you feel about the acquisition, both as a Bulls fan and a Minnesota native?
As a Bulls fan, I'm heartbroken. I loved Ayo. I mean, you won't meet anybody who doesn't love Ayo who's a Bulls fan. And I've had people because I was so upset that they traded him, people were throwing like some of my past takes out where I said we should sell high on Ayo. And they're like, well, you wanted to trade him. And I'm like, you guys can't, you don't get the context of things. Like, I didn't want to trade Ayo. I said Ayo has the most trade value, so the Bulls should sell high on him. They didn't sell high on him. I've been slightly proven wrong. I have really liked what I've seen from Rob Dillingham, which is shocking to me because I do watch a lot of Minnesota Timberwolves basketball living in Minnesota. And Rob Dillingham did not look like an NBA quality player while on the Timberwolves. But with the Bulls, I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's a future all-star, but I've liked what I've seen. I've liked the flashes from him. So it's not as much of a lose trade as I thought it was at the beginning, but just breaking down the parameters of the trade, it doesn't make any sense to me to this day because Ayo should have had more trade value than a failed lottery pick, 4 second rounders, 2 of which we know for sure will be in the 50s because they're conveying in the next 2 years from 2 really good teams. And then Julian Phillips, I'm not a Julian Phillips fan at all, but 2 years ago, you traded 2 future second round picks to move up and draft Julian Phillips. 2 years later, now you're throwing him into this trade. Doesn't make any sense to me. So the whole parameter of the trade, I was pissed off as a Bulls fan. As a Minnesota native and as an Ayo Dosunmu fan, I was hyped because Ayo is the perfect guard for the Timberwolves. I was at the game, what was that, 2 weeks ago, where it was here in Minnesota and the Bulls got a shocking come from behind victory. And the beginning of the game, I'm obviously only a Bulls fan in the section, and Wolves fans are asking me like, hey, is it true? Are we going to get Kobe White? And I was like, you guys could probably get Kobe White. Like, it doesn't seem like the price tag's that high. And by the third quarter, they were like, what about this Ayo Dosunmu kid? What about this Trey Jones kid? And I was like, you have to cough up a little bit more if you want those guys. Everybody who was at that game, Bulls fans, Wolves fans, whoever, they all were able to watch and see, like, Ayo Dosunmu is kind of the perfect glue guy. As a fan of Ayo, I knew this would be a good trade for him because the Wolves, they're just going to let him play. He's going to get to come in and do his thing. And he's played 3 games there. And I swear to God, he has taken more mid-range jump shots in those 3 games with the Wolves than he was allowed to on the Bulls in his whole season here. So they freed him up. He's the perfect fit. He plays hard. People here love him already, which I predicted that. It's going to be cool because I really do think he's the guard. He's kind of the perfect guard for them to plug in and potentially get to the next level because they're not that far away. They've made 2 Western Conference Finals. I mean, if they get OKC in a Western Conference Finals again and Anthony Edwards goes off, plus you have Ayo Dosunmu doing what he does, it wouldn't be the biggest upset in the world if the Timberwolves beat them. I don't think they would, but this definitely gets them one step closer to getting over the hump.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it's wide open, but it's not that wide open. I feel like talent wise, because I follow a lot of Minnesota ball just because of the fact that I'm a big Ant fan, like I'm sure most people are, and I think I don't want to say one of the, I know it's a common thing to say he's one of the closest things we've had to Michael Jordan since Michael Jordan. I don't like saying that. I like respecting talent for what is presented on the court. But he catches my eyes with his athleticism. Anyway, long story short, Ayo Dosunmu trade into the Minnesota Timberwolves. I feel exactly what you're saying. I feel like that's the guy that they needed. They needed another guy with the speed, because Ayo Dosunmu is a speed fundamentals guy. He doesn't do anything super quote unquote flashy. He just does fundamental basketball. He does it on defense. He'll blow by you and put up a layup, but his layups that he puts up, they're just common looking layups. They're just good fundamental plays. And I feel like somebody of that caliber is what it's going to take to put Minnesota over the hump. Who do you have coming out of the West? Do you still have OKC or?
I still have OKC. I mean, it's until somebody beats them, it's going to be really hard. I know a lot of people have Denver as the number 2 team in the West because Jokic is great and they have a better supporting cast. But seeing the way the Spurs are playing this year, I probably would favor the Spurs over the Nuggets in a playoff series right now. But they got a youth question for sure. But the West, it's not wide open, but it's kind of wide open at the same time because you go the Thunder, the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Rockets. These are all teams that on any given night they can beat anybody. So if any of them were to be champions at the end of the day, you wouldn't be that shocked. Like if it was you take any of those 5 teams and you put them in a series against any team from the East, I think you're picking those 5 teams every time. I don't think you would take the Knicks or the Pistons or the Cavaliers over any of those 5 teams in a 7-game series. So the West is cutthroat this year. I mean, it's cutthroat every year, but it seems even more cutthroat this year.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking of like the top teams in the East. And of course, Detroit being number 1. I don't think Detroit has the experience playoff wise to go up against a tough team like, Minnesota. You're definitely not your OKC, even your Denver Nuggets. And then number 2 is Boston. They're still injury prone, missing the big guy, Jason Tatum. Who knows if he'll be back this season or not? They're optimistic, but who knows? Anyway, do they have what it takes to win? And yeah, I think this is going to be another Western Conference champion year. And I do think that OKC has a good chance to repeat. However, like you said, there's a lot of good teams where I wouldn't be surprised if any of the aforementioned teams were the champions. So getting back to Io now, how did you feel the trade went as far as you said you felt like Dillingham at first was not a good matchup? Was there another player that you would have much rather taken in an Ayo Dosunmu trade if you had to part with Io? Obviously, who isn't Anthony Edwards?
Right. So at the time, now after watching Dillingham for 2 games, I don't feel this way. But at the time, I was honestly, because we have so many guards, I was like, honestly, I'd probably be able to stomach this trade more if it was Terrence Shannon Jr. instead of Rob Dillingham. Now, after watching Rob Dillingham, I don't feel that way anymore. But I still feel like if they would have got Terrence Shannon in the package, it would have been a little easier to stomach. And I mean, part of the problem is just the trade, not necessarily the Io trade. If you're judging the trades the Bulls did, the Io trade, it's not the worst one. The Kobe White one is by far the worst one. But just the fact that the Bulls traded out Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and somehow brought back more guards that aren't as good as Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu, and they didn't get what most of us would consider good draft capital in return for those guys. That's the infuriating part. So it's judging the Io trade on its own. It's not the worst trade. It's not even the worst trade they made that day, but the totality of the moves is what makes the Io thing really hard because it's like we traded for the most part. I know Kobe had a bad year this year, but it's kind of crazy when you look at his numbers, especially if you go to cleaning the glass and you look at his on-off numbers. They're not as bad as the eye test would have told you. But even that, I think we all can agree. We enjoyed watching Kobe White. We enjoyed watching Ayo Dosunmu a hell of a lot more than we're enjoying watching Colin Sexton. I might be in the minority. I see a lot of people that are loving Anthony Simons out there. His shot selection drives me absolutely crazy. I'm not having a fun time during the Anthony Simons era. But my thing is, I don't care how this team does this year. Like, objectively, I'm not rooting for wins. I'm not rooting for losses. I'm just kind of like along for the ride at this point. So if I was invested in the team, if I really wanted them to make a playoff push, the Anthony Simons shots would drive me a lot crazier than they do. So the totality of what they did, the fact they traded 2 of the most loved Chicago Bulls, really their only 2 successful development stories since Jimmy Butler, and they brought back lesser players and no first round draft picks. And they gave up Ousmane Dieng for some reason, and now he's having good games with the Bucks. Like the totality of it makes it worse than just Ayo Dosunmu on its own.
Yeah. Do you think that because I feel like that was that so then not to translate words here, but like do you feel that if the Bulls would have stopped at Io? I asked this question on our show the other day because I know Bulls fans are essentially rioting via Twitter right now. Like you said, there's some lighting the torches. There's some with they're ready to go and tear the United Center down brick from brick. Now, would you say that if the Bulls would have stopped at Io, retained Io, made all other trades, do you feel as though Chicago Bulls fans would have been more comfortable with the sudden change in the roster.
Yeah, I think so because Ayo is so beloved. And the thing is, like Kobe White, Kobe White's what, 26 now, and he's about to enter his third contract, and he's kind of maybe he's peaked as a player. Maybe we've figured out what he is. It's one of those things where it seemed like the writing was on the wall, but there's been various points during Kobe's Bulls tenure where it seemed like the writing was on the wall. Where with Ayo, I don't know. It seems like there's still like every year he gets better. So it's like Ayo's 25. He's a homegrown kid. Kobe's going to demand a big contract this offseason, or at least he's going to expect a big contract this offseason. Where Ayo, it seems like you could have re-signed him for a much higher deal than he's getting right now, but nothing outrageous, nothing that would have ever been considered a bad contract. So I think most Bulls fans would have rather kept Ayo, re-signed him, even if it meant doubling what his contract is right now. Because what's he make, like 7 right now? So if
I
you
believe so.
double it, if you double it, you're at 14, 15. Like, show me a Bulls fan that wouldn't have wanted to pay Ayo Dosunmu $15 million a year, and I'll show you a guy who's not a real Bulls fan. So I think we would have stomached it a little better because then you could have flipped Ayo further down the road. If you lock him up for 45 over 3, and then next year you want to flip him, you're probably getting a better return for him at that point than you did this year. So I think, Bulls fans would have handled it a lot better if we would have stopped at the Vooch and the Kobe trades and retained Ayo.
Yeah. And honestly, now that we're on the subject of money, I don't think, as a Bulls fan, I don't think I've seen so many moves made in a 24-hour time frame. I want to say this has probably been one of the most, if not the most active trade deadline, at least in my era of my 30 years of watching the Chicago Bulls that I've ever seen. I mean, we had 2 big trades within I want to say an hour and a half. We didn't even get an hour and a half. We got the Vooch trade, and then initially the Jaden Ivey trade, and then we got the Vooch trade. And then even the day of the deadline, we made the Kobe trade, the Ayo, the Dalen Terry. Like it was rapid fire after that. It seemed like a lot of these trades were more, is it just coincidence? I mean, okay, we'll backtrack. Is it just me, or did it look like every single player who was going to get a paycheck next year got traded? Is it 4 players with expiring contracts got moved this year? Now, do you think this was in the works from the get-go? Like since the Zach LaVine trade, like we were just getting expiring contracts so that AK can make a roster that he wanted to? Or do you think that we were trying to get something big and all these were just chess pieces that didn't really pan out?
Honestly, when you look at the moves and you look at the timeline, it's hard to not say that AK was just kind of winging it. Like I don't know that he actually had a plan going into the deadline because he brought back were expiring contracts, but all he sent out were expiring contracts. So some people were of the mindset that the Bulls were going to be able to take the expiring contract of Ayo and maybe package it with like Patrick Williams to get off his deal or something like that. No, we didn't do that. We just sent out cheap expiring contracts for more expensive expiring contracts. Like Colin Sexton makes $18 million this year. Anthony Simons makes $27 million this year. And I was yelling till my face was blue. Not really, because I was just typing on Twitter, but there were so many people when the trades happened who were like, calm down, guys, calm down. Simons and Sexton aren't going to be here after the trade deadline. They're going to be flipped for more draft picks. And I was like, guys, if the Celtics could have got draft picks for Anthony Simons, they would have got draft picks for Anthony Simons. They just shipped him out of here. If they could have got a better return than Nikola Vucevic for Anthony Simons would have been gone. If the Hornets were able to get draft picks for Colin Sexton, they would have got draft picks for Colin Sexton. Nobody wanted those guys. The Bulls were the only teams bidding for those guys. Maybe somebody else was bidding for Simons, but with $27 million, hard to see that because a lot of people have, when I've said that, they're like, well, he's an expiring, so teams weren't worried about the contract. I'm like, I don't think you understand how the apron works. Like teams would have had to send out $27 million worth of money to take Simons on. There's not a lot of teams that are in the position to do that. So the fact that so many Bulls fans thought we were going to reroute those guys, it was baffling for me from the second those trades got announced. And that's another layer of just the frustration is you would kind of think that maybe they were working for something. Like at the beginning of the year, I looked at the Herter, Collins, Vucevic, Kobe, and Ayo expirings, and I was like, if they want to, they can package this together. They can take back a Zion Williamson. They can take back whoever the high-priced star is. It would be really stupid for them to just let these contracts expire. That would be because that's not the way basketball is done anymore. No stars reach free agency anymore. You're not just signing guys. It's all they sign the extension first, demand a trade later. So the fact that all they did is take those expirings and flip them into more expensive expirings to keep the cap space open this offseason, it seems like there was no actual plan in place. There was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that he was shooting.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I fell victim to that too, and shame on me because, like I said earlier, in 30 plus years of Bulls fandom, when did we really acquire like a superstar at his peak and not somebody on his decline? I kind of fell victim to, you know what? Maybe these are the pieces we're putting together to go after a Giannis, to go after a Zion Williamson. Like this is our year to make a trade and get a big player because as we know, expiring contracts in the NBA, they could be gold or they could be garbage, depending on who it is. I saw us stacking the second rounders. I saw us, making the expired contract trade and still up until 2 p.m. on the trade deadline, I still thought there was a hope in hell of us getting a superstar and no dice. So I completely agree. I don't really think they had an idea of what trades to make. I think they were just, you know what? This city is so desperate for trades. We'll make all the trades. You don't like Vucevic? He's gone. All right, cool. You don't like Kobe? You think Kobe shouldn't come back? He's gone. You know what I mean? And then they kind of cross the line with Ayo. But what do you think of Yabusele? I wanna touch on that because I feel like if there was one trade that I feel that we won wall to wall, it was the Yabu trade. So go ahead and enlighten us. What do you think about the Yabu trade?
At first I was pissed because at first the Yabu trade, he had another year on his contract. So I was like, you telling me we just traded Dalen Terry, a guy who was a first round draft pick, has been a fail of a draft pick, but really with all the trades we were doing, I was like, well, you can just give Dalen these last 25 games as a final prove you're an NBA player. I'm like, you traded him for how old's Yabu? 30, a 30-year-old guy who's more expensive and he's making $6 million a year and his contract goes next year. Like I didn't understand it at all. And then it was announced that, it is an expiring contract and the Bulls did need a center. So I guess I can't be too mad at it. Like the Yabu experience has been whatever. It's been fine. Like it's cool to see him hit threes and he plays hard. The pace the Bulls play with, you could tell he's not built for that pace though. He's not built to run up and down the court as fast as the Chicago Bulls do. So I don't think he's a long-term piece. I think all the reports like a month ago were that he plans to go back to France and continue his overseas career. But if we just get 25 minutes of him or 25 games of him or whatever's left in the schedule, he plays hard. You can't be too mad at it. It's it's the ultimate like meh trade. Like I'm not excited about it. I'm not mad about it. It's just like, okay, we did the thing.
Yeah, we got rid of Terry. You guys wanted Terry gone. We got rid of him. And what's wild is like the first game, I want to say, because I'm speaking more that first game when we had these new additions step in. I feel like Yabusele came out with a bang and really captured the hearts of Chicago fans right away and kind of, I don't want to say gave them false hope, but they're like, oh, who's this guy? You know what I mean? Here's a guy, 6'7", kind of has that like Ben Wallacey aura where he's just a stocky dude, but he can hit the outside shot. So I was really excited to see what he can develop into. But then I also got word that this may not be his long-term home. He may be going back overseas. Like all these players, one thing I saw that they have in common is Lord only knows who's going to be on the team next year. Who would you say has been your favorite acquisition? And I mean this with a grain of salt because, like I said, I don't think a lot of the players who you think are coming back are going to be coming back after this offseason. But who would you say is like, okay, I'm glad we got him?
There's only one guy, and that's Rob Dillingham. The rest of the guys, I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm giving Jaden Ivey grace. I've been saying it since we traded for him. His injury, it's an 18-month injury. Don't judge him based on this year. But he has done nothing in his 4 games as a Chicago Bull that have excited me. So I can't put him on the list. I'm not enjoying the Colin Sexton experience. I'm not enjoying the Anthony Simons, I'm going to pull up from 26 feet whenever I want to experience. Nick Richards, it's been fun. It's been fun to see what athleticism at the 5 does. It's been fun to see a 5 who catches a lob. I forgot that players can do that. But Yabusele, he's played hard too. But the Yabu and the Nick Richards thing, it shows how broken we are as a fan base because objectively, these guys are not starting quality big men in the NBA. Zach Collins falls into this trap too. Jalen Smith, he's working his way out of this trap, but he's kind of fallen into it too, where these guys, they're not starting quality big men in the NBA. All other 30 teams in the league have told us this, and they probably aren't rotation guys on playoff teams either, because once again, the playoff teams have told us this. Like, there's a reason that the Knicks were not playing Yabu this year. There's a reason the Suns were not playing Richards this year. There's a reason that the Spurs got a lot better after they traded Zach Collins, and there's a reason that Luke Cornett is filling the minutes that Zach Collins would have filled in San Antonio last year, and is just doing a flat out better job of it. And we don't even think of Luke Cornett as like an exceptional big man or anything, but in Chicago, we've been so downtrodden when it comes to big men that we try to talk ourselves into, man, maybe this Nick Richards guy, did you see him block that shot? Did you see him catch that alley-oop? Maybe he could be our long-term option. I've seen people say he could be like a Jared Allen in the right situation, and I'm like, you guys are getting too excited off of one or two plays, and you're not paying attention to the full game, possession by possession. The Boston game really showed why Nick Richards and Yabusele are not starting quality, or for the most part in the NBA rotation quality bigs either. It's just Bulls fans, we've had bad luck with fives for years now. Pre-Vucevic, we had bad luck with fives. So I haven't really, like, their minutes, they've been fun to watch in some aspects, and then seeing the overreaction from Bulls fans to them has been incredibly infuriating in other aspects.
Yeah, definitely. It's one thing to see on the brighter side of suffering there and try to make, because that's what I am. I try to, all right, let's look at the positive side of everything. But then there's all right, let's be realistic. Do you really want to build a team around Nick Richards at your 5? Do you really want to build a team with Yabusele in your starting lineup? No. I mean, I was more interested in the guards we acquired, because I'll be the first to admit it. I was a big fan of Anthony Simons when he was in Portland, and when I saw that he got traded for, I mean, who is it? I mean, Drew Holiday is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but it was almost out of the realm of, man, could the Bulls have put together something to get an Anthony Simons? Here's that spark plug that will get you, 20 plus points, under the great Damian Lillard, I mean, so to see him go to Boston, then to see him traded for, I don't want to say so little, because I don't want to downplay Drew Holiday, but he was at the back end of his career, Drew Holiday. And then again, traded for Vucevic. It's like, man, what is wrong with this guy that players or the teams don't want to keep him? You know what I mean? Because, I mean, Anthony Simons got there, last year in Boston?
He got there this summer.
The
summer. Problem with Simons isn't necessarily his game. Boston actually gave him the perfect role. Anthony Simons, come off the bench as your 6-man, perfect role for him. He's not a guy who you should rely on to be your starting point guard, and he's not big enough to be your starting shooting guard. But if he's your off-the-bench gunner, perfect role for him. Problem is his contract. The reason that the Celtics traded Drew Holiday for him is because Simons made 27. I think Drew makes 35 or 36 or something. So they were trying to cut that tax bill. The reason they traded him for Vucevic isn't because they think Vucevic is a missing piece or anything. It's because Vucevic, that trade got them under the tax. So now they get to avoid the apron. They save $7 million off the cap. But with the luxury tax implications, somebody reported it's like the owner saves like $50 million or something crazy for that. So Simons, the issue isn't that he's not a good player. He's a good 6-man. He's the classic Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford, like, give this dude the ball, let him cook. And I really hope that this offseason he realizes that and he goes even back to Boston or signs with a contender and just plays that role. Because if he is still trying to chase being a starter in the NBA, it's just, I don't think that's it for him. And we've seen guys like Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford. They realized that. They could have taken opportunities where they were going to be the starters, but Jamal Crawford was like, let me take less money and go join the Clippers and try to be he won, 2 6-man of the years with them. And
yeah,
Lou Williams did the same thing. So Simons, when I say I don't enjoy the Simons experience, it's not that I don't think he's a good player. He's a good player. It's just got to be the right role. And starting in Chicago and taking 20 shots a game, that is not the right role. It doesn't benefit us and it doesn't benefit him.
No, my next question to that was, because we essentially got a clean sheet of rosters right now. Could you see a world where even Simon says, you know what, I am better off as a 6-man. I know it's my payday. As long as you sign me to a long-term deal, I'll take a little bit of a check, just to come off the bench, because I'm assuming the way they built this roster, they're anticipating Jaden Ivey's going to be your starting 2. I mean, I would assume that. I'm with you. The Colin Sexton thing was kind of a head scratcher, but could you see a world where the Chicago Bulls start Giddy at the 1, Ivy at the 2, but then not that far behind Ivy, you get a spark plug of Anthony Simons off the bench?
God, I hope not.
Okay.
God, I hope not, man. Like, I hope that's Rob Dillingham's role. I hope Rob Dillingham is the third guard. He's the spark plug. Like, if the Bulls re-sign Anthony Simons and Colin Sexton, that is going to make those trades so much worse and so much more infuriating to me. I hope for Anthony Simons' sake, I hope he chooses to go to a winner. Because yeah, you can be the sixth man in Chicago. You're not going to win anything.
Right.
We could be 100% real. The Bulls are not going to make any noise for a couple years now. They have a long way to go. But at the start of this year, I thought they had a ways to go, but I could see like, okay, we got Josh Giddey, we got Modest Buzelis, we got Ayo Dosunmu. Like there's pieces here where if we get a better defensive five, we upgrade at the 4. I actually ended up really liking the Isaac Okoro acquisition. He brings a defensive toughness that we needed. Like I was like, we're not that far away. After these trades, I'm like, we are so far away right now. Like these trades were a step back. And that's one of the reasons the trades are hard to stomach is because we took a clear step back. Like you'd have to be the most optimistic Bulls fan to say that. I saw people after the trades, after the first 2 games, who still were like, well, this isn't tanking. This team is still good. And I'm like, I don't know what games you guys have been watching. This team is clearly not as good as they were before. So we took a clear step back and we did it for 6 second-round picks and 2 guys who were failed lottery picks. Like I like Jaden Ivey. It's not his fault he's a failed lottery pick. But objectively, when your team drafts you in the lottery and they trade you before your rookie extension, you are by definition a failed lottery pick. So him and Rob Dillingham, even if I think their futures can be bright, they are still in the category of distressed assets, failed lottery picks right now.
Yeah. And when it's put like that, the problem is Bulls fans sometimes they need it to be, and it's not an insult to our community at all, but sometimes we need to see the other side of the pillow. It's like we're not downplaying how good they can be, but you also got to wonder if they were as good as they are, why were their respected clubs getting rid of them? You know what I mean? Like it's just you got to look at both sides when you're talking long-term investments. Do you want to invest long-term in a player that had a broken fibula, what is it, like an 18-month recovery?
So that's the thing that some people they get confused when I say it. So the recovery, he's healthy and he's able to play right around the 9-month mark. But until he's all the way back and like moving mentally, physically, everything like that, it's about 18 months till guys are like all the way back. And with him, it's a little more complicated too because he did have a knee procedure before the season as well. That was described as just a cleanup procedure to clean up some scar tissue, but that's still a little worrisome. But the main thing is like Paul George had the same injury. We all remember that Olympics where he crashed into the basket. He snapped his same injury that Jaden Ivey had. Paul George, about I think it was 8 months later, he played their last like 9 games, and he looked like a shell of himself. He did not look he averaged like 7 points a game. His shooting was terrible. He couldn't move. He couldn't jump. And Pacer fans freaked out. They were like, we just signed this guy to a max contract. We're screwed. Because Paul George was really the first case of that particular injury we had seen. He came back the next year. He had a slow start the first month, too. He had a slow start. It wasn't until about January of that year that he really started picking up and he really started going. And the thing with Paul George is he has a podcast. He talks all the time, and he's talked about this injury so many times. And that's the thing he said. He said it was about 18 months until like the muscles around my leg, because when you break your leg, you can't use it. So I can speak to this very little. Like I play pickup basketball. I'm nowhere near these guys' level, but I broke my foot 2 months ago. I just started playing again last week. And that's the thing I'm noticing is like being in the boot as long as I was, like my knees aren't as strong. My ankles are sore after playing. The muscles in my feet are sore after playing. My calf is sore, like the little things like that. So the muscles in his legs have atrophied. Takes a while to build all that up. And then the mental aspect too. Like it's just the play that he injured it on, if I remember right, it was like, was it Jalen Suggs dived for a loose ball and that's how he broke his leg? I think that's how it happened.
I want to say, yeah.
So it's just like a bang bang play, but still it's like that it kind of athletes, especially young athletes, they go through life and they think they're invincible and they've never faced a major injury. When you have your leg break like that, like it's going to mess with you. So physically, he's got to build the strength back up, and mentally, he's got to build it up. So Paul George has said many times it took him 18 months to get right, and that's why I'm giving Jaden Ivey a little bit of grace here. There's been a couple plays that he's played with the Bulls where I'm like, okay, well, there was one in the last game. He stole it. Somebody was chasing him from behind, but they were 3 to 4 steps behind him, and he went up and he laid it in very softly. I'm like, I've watched Jaden Ivey from his Purdue days. Like pre-injury, that was a dunk. That was a tomahawk dunk. He was taking off fearless abandon. Like you could tell he's not quite back yet. He doesn't have that first step back yet. I have confidence it'll get there, but it's just going to take time.
Yeah, you could tell that. Would you say it's a trust thing? Like, I'm not trusting that leg yet. Like, well, I will, but for right now, I'll give it some time.
I think it's a trust thing. I think it's a strength thing. I don't think his legs in that leg are particularly strong enough yet to handle the explosive movement. And then I do think that he probably just lost a little bit of athleticism from being on the shelf for so long too. And that can come back. He does. I will say, I don't mean this to sound negative because I think it is mostly muscle, but he is heavier. Like he looks bigger than he ever did with the Pistons. Like I was watching the Nets game, and a good friend of mine is a Nets fan, and he texted me, he's like, when the hell did Jaden Ivey become a tank? And I was like, dude, I know. He looks stacked out there. So I think, excuse me, I got to take a drink here.
Go.
I think it's a little bit of both where he's got to lose some weight and he's got to get the confidence back.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't upset at that trade. You know, Herter and was it Dario Saric, a man who didn't even play a game with us for a young star like Jaden Ivey. I was excited, and I'm with you. You know, I'm going to give this year a wash. Like whatever he does is just a bonus. I want to see what he does next season and see where he fits the mold. The reason why I asked you that question is because I want to shout out somebody in particular. We shouted him out on I didn't shout him out. Guilty shouted him out yesterday. And I just want to know he's been such a good fan of podcasts worldwide. I want to shout out Sammy Yee. I mean, this guy is probably the best fan in the game here when it comes to amateur pods. I mean, he's the first one to comment on your stuff. He's the first one to like your stuff, repost it, anything. He's just an all around good guy. I want to shout him out by giving him the question. He was the one who asked, did you guys throw up when you saw the 4-guard lineup against Boston? And can you break down the Jaden Ivey trade and why it's an 18-month recovery? I guess we just answered the second part of that question. First part of that, did I throw up seeing the 4-guard lineup? It wasn't a pleasant reaction. I'll just say that. What about you?
Like I said earlier, if I was remotely invested in this team, I would have thrown up. I would have been pissed. All I could do was laugh. I looked at it. And I was like, all right, so we got 4. I looked and I was like, wait, am I seeing Simons? Am I seeing Ivy? Am I seeing Dillingham? I was like, wait, all 4 of them are out there? And then I was like, okay, and Yabusele's the center. So we got 5 guys on the court who are all 6'5" or under. Sounds like a winning strategy. So all I could do was laugh at this point.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those like, yeah, it figures, you know. I mean, I could see what he was trying to do. You know, I mean, the thing is, we're in the back half of I'll just call it a failed season here. At this point, why not? Let's see what we got. Hey, 4 guards out there. Why not? You know what I mean? Maybe they got the pace to outrun everybody. That failed miserably. Shout out Sammy Yee. Thank you for not only just for the question, but thank you for being you, man. Thank you for your support on this pod and your positive attitude in the basketball community, man. You're a good guy. Thank you. Here's the final question before we get into the All-Star, and I hate to ask this question because I feel like we both had different views on this guy. But how did it feel seeing Nikola Vucevic in a Celtics jersey?
I loved it. I loved seeing him in another jersey. And I mean, I might have been his biggest hater while he was here, but at least he can go somewhere he can win now. If you look at his career, he's never had any postseason success. I think he's won 2 playoff games his whole career. So he gets to go somewhere where he gets to win now. My wife watched the game and she said green is his color. So I'm happy for the guy. Happy that he's not here. Happy that, and him being on the Celtics, I hate the Celtics. So now I get to hate watch them even more. So I'm happy with it. What about you?
Honestly, so here's the thing. Like, I was not a fan of Vooch's game per se. I was a fan of his demeanor because then towards the end of his tenure here, when he became that disgruntled, like, F it, like, you know, he was a comedy guy. So I enjoyed watching him. I didn't enjoy him on the court. I just enjoyed hosting Nikola Vucevic. I'm happy with you because much like the Ayo trade, it seems like we did a pretty good job of trading our guys to set them up to be successful. I mean, who knows? Maybe Vooch can be that Al Horford in Boston, that aging veteran center that can put him over the hump. I mean, I don't buy it, but maybe. But I don't know. It was kind of like in high school when you're dating this girl and then you break it off, but then you see her a week later with another dude, and you're like, that's kind of what it felt like. Just a little bit of mixed emotion. But best of luck to Vooch, man. I'm very thankful that he did some positive things here. I mean, I know we mentioned it before. When it's all said and done, this man is probably what, the third or fourth best center in Chicago Bulls history. I mean, we got to give some flowers when they get flowers, but
I guess. I mean, you got me thinking like best. You said he accomplished a lot here. I'm struggling to think what he accomplished here. I mean, not to be mad, but like, and
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying that it's his fault at all. Like, obviously, roster construction was not great for him, but objectively, we got to the playoffs one time with him. I don't I don't
Facts.
know that he really accomplished a lot here. He scored a lot of points. He grabbed a lot of rebounds.
Mm.
But yeah, I guess you're probably right because we obviously Joakim, Artis Gilmore, then it's really sad after that.
Him or Cartwright. I mean,
Cartwright, Luke Longley.
Longley.
If I really want to be crazy, I'll make a Brad Miller case.
Yeah, honestly. Brad Miller
But
was
yeah,
like, he was like a Vooch before a Vooch, man.
really,
It really was like, because he was one of the first Bulls center, I want to say, that was hitting the long ball with some consistency. I don't think I ever seen a center on the Bulls hitting the long ball with that much consistency. No, I meant like statistically, like not statistically, like on a number standpoint, Vooch put up a lot of numbers, but that's about it. What did we accomplish with him here? 3 play-in tournaments where we were ousted by Miami, and what is it, a 1-game victory in the playoffs, and that's about it.
yeah, yep. I think we went what 2-3 in the play-in in
Mhm.
his years here, and then 1-4 in the playoffs. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's not all his fault. He's not like he's not accountable for some of it. Some of it definitely his play style does tend to lean to some of it being his fault, but I don't know. I'm when he retires, I'm not gonna be seated for the Nikola Vucevic night at the United Center. We'll just put it that way.
You're not going to the Ring of Honor featuring Nikola Vucevic. Who
Oh
else could
man.
we throw in there? I mean, that'll be a fun Ring of Honor.
They'll do the 20. Do you think they'll do like a Ring of Honor for the first 46 games of the 21-22 season? They'll just get Lonzo, Caruso, Levine, DeRozan, all the Javante out there.
I mean, that's literally the last victory that Bulls fans were able to celebrate. Was at one point we held first place for more than 5 games. So
The the sad thing that shows how broken this fan base is too, and shout out to C Red Fred. Love the dude, love 90% of his posts, but lately he's been on this weird kick, and a lot of Bulls fans do it too, where that's the last time and really the only time in what 10 or 12 years that the Bulls had any modicum of success, and now you get guys like Fred who are posting, well, actually that team kind of sucked if you really want to break down these numbers. It's like, guys, from October to March, spent like 5 weeks in first place. Like, the team didn't suck. You can say they weren't going to win a ring, and you're 100% right. That team wasn't going to win a ring. But at the very least, if Lonzo and Levine don't get hurt, they're at least, in my opinion, getting to the second round. Like, are they
yeah,
are they contenders? I don't know what your definition of a contender is, but they're at least getting to the second round in my estimation. They're finishing with a top 3 seed. So that's how broken we are as a fan base, is that we are trying to there's a section of the fan base that's trying to argue the only time we've seen any real success in the last 12 years, we actually weren't that good and we should stop talking about it.
yeah. Which honestly, sometimes talent has, I don't want to say very little, not as much to do with it with how good a team gels with each other. That was one thing that team had that you don't see on the stat sheet, is how well they played with each other chemistry wise. Like, it was, that team was fluid. You didn't have to be the most talented person out there. The team was talented as a whole. I mean, how many Lonzo Ball's 3-quarter passes did we see to a athletic dunk by Levine? And how many games did DeMar take the ball in his hand and say, I got this? And it was just a I don't want to say put together team, but a well gelled team. So, and yeah, like you said, with the exception of, was it 15, 16, when Derrick Rose hit the shot over Tristan Thompson, what was the last successful Bulls season that we've seen? And I feel like that kind of correlates to why the Bulls fans are kind of on edge right now because, like you said, I mean, you and me, I think we're similar in age to where we've seen the Michael Jordan championships. We experienced that drought of Tim Floyd, Bill Cartwright, whatever that was. We got a silver lining with D Rose, and we thought this was, basketball is back in Chicago, and of course, for somebody who didn't win a ring in Chicago, Derrick Rose brought Chicago basketball back. One of the reasons why he's one of the most coveted Chicago players. But we didn't get the ring then, and then we got a little glimpse of it, with the Zach LaVine. We got a little, they're playing good, they're first place again, and now we're here. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of it is the Bulls fans are just we're kind of in denial, man. We're kind of now like not again. Like I know we're not going to be good for a long time, unless there's a miracle this offseason where you get 3 or 4 superstars come in your team. We're going to be repeating this process for a while. A rebuild is a long, strenuous process. So, I mean, I'm going to stick. Obviously, being diehards, I'm going to stick through it. But I can understand frustrations. And it sucks not being in the mix anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. It's rough, and it's weird for me to see people downplay that 21-22 team because, like you said, it's not. You look at the roster, and it's more so that they all just fit together, and they all played hard. Like, yeah, you had Lonzo, you had Zach LaVine, you had DeMar DeRozan, you had Alex Caruso, but the thing is, you had guys like Javonte Green and Derrick Jones Jr. You paired those two with Lonzo, with Caruso. They were getting in the passing lanes. They were playing fast. There wasn't a lot of ball pounding. Like DeRozan, he got killed his last 2 years in Chicago for being such a ball stopper. But you watch those first 46 games, he only did that when they had to do it in the half court. For the most part, that team was playing passing lanes. They were flying up and down the court. They played fast. They played hard. And we just haven't seen that in Chicago since. So I'm going to be a guy, I'm going to be like 55 years old still telling people about that team because chances are when I'm 55 years old, that's still going to be the last time the Chicago Bulls were in first place.
You know what? That with history, yeah, unless we draft an anomaly player, because that's a lot of Bulls fans. That's another thing they don't realize is we were successful by drafting anomaly players. Like the Chicago Bulls never acquired a superstar. Like we never traded for a superstar and built a team around him. We acquired that player via the draft. Derrick Rose, #1 overall. MJ, I mean, and nothing else after that. I mean, I'm sure if you want to dip, back in the '80s and pre Mike, but that's it. So
You
we'll
can
see.
argue that the only player that the Bulls acquired, like didn't draft, they just straight up acquired. The only 2 players in recent memory that turned out to be really good and surpass expectations were DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. And those
Yeah,
guys somehow have become like 2 of the most hated guys in the fan base. People seem to not appreciate what DeMar did while he was here, and they think he somehow set us back years. But he played his ass off, man. He was top 5 in MVP that year, and nobody saw it coming. And same thing with Zach LaVine. He had some good years here before it all went downhill. So yeah,
yeah.
if you don't think that we need to draft a superstar, then I don't know how else you think we're gonna acquire a superstar. It's just the track record isn't there.
Yeah, it really is. Like look at teams like San Antonio. They drafted an anomaly player in Wemby, and it looks like they're gonna have some talent stacked for years to come. I'll give you Ant in Minnesota. You know what I mean? It really is getting to be a league where if you want to win a ring, you better draft some anomaly player. Unless you get lucky and get, a Shea Gilgeous out of the mix like they're doing in OKC. Usually you draft the player to get good.
Yep.
And
I mean,
and speaking of an all-star of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I wanted to touch on it because we are on the cusp of All-Star Weekend. It's very weird that All-Star Weekend happens to fall on Valentine's Day here, so I don't know how much I'll be able to, but I did want to briefly go over some All-Star game coverage here, just to show you how interested and how excited I am. We put it in the back 10 minutes of this show, so I'm sorry, I lost all hope for All-Star Game many moons ago. I mean, and I'm sure it's mutual. I mean, there's always that one year where it's like, oh, maybe this will be good, but that hasn't happened in quite some time. I want to touch on the 3-point or the dunk contest first and get that out of the way. Dare I say, this is probably one of the most tragic lineups for a 3-point contest or a dunk contest that I've seen in my 32 years of watching basketball. And again, I hate to talk smack about the participants, I really do, but there's just no head turners in this. Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Kashad Johnson, and Jace Richardson. I mean, how do you generate any sort of interest in that?
yeah, you don't. I've seen people Like they're like, oh, Jason Richardson's kid, he's got to throw down some cool dunks. I'm like, go look at his highlight tape, guys. Like he is not his dad. He is 6'2", and the NBA on their Instagram page put up a highlight reel of his dunks this year. I think he has 3, and on all of them, he barely got over the rim. So I'm not really sure what he's doing there, what the plan is there. Carter Bryant is a freak athlete. The problem is nobody knows who the hell he is. Kashad Johnson, I haven't seen him play a second for the Miami Heat this year. The Bulls played him 3 times in a row. He didn't get on the court 1 time. So I don't know who that man is, what his credentials are. Couldn't tell you a thing about him. And Jackson Hayes, nobody likes seeing tall people dunk. I've felt this way since Dwight Howard was winning dunk contests. Like objectively, it is not cool. Nate Robinson was it kind of got old after a while because it was like, all right, we get it. You're 5'6" and you can dunk. That's all right. But then on the opposite side, having tall guys do the dunk contest never looks cool. The sweet spot is like that 6'4" to 6'8" guy. That's
Yeah.
like the sweet spot for a dunker. But you need stars, man. You need stars. I've always said, take last year's dunk contest. You had Mac McClung. He did some pretty cool stuff, but he's Mac McClung. We don't care. So his dunk was a 10 out of 10. If you would have had Anthony Edwards go out there and do just a simple through the legs dunk that we've seen 1,000 times, because it's Anthony Edwards, because he brings that aura, because he brings that charisma, it would have been cooler than Mac McClung's dunk. Like,
Yes.
you need the charisma and the superstars, that aspect of it. You go back and you look at like the 80s, like Dominique Wilkins. Even now, when I watch it, those dunks don't look super complex. They're two-handed windmills. They're going backwards. Like they're not super complex, but it's the flair and it's the charisma and the stature of Dominique Wilkins that makes those dunks cool as hell. And that's what the dunk contest is missing.
Yeah. Honestly, you hit it right on the head there, because you could be the average Joe Smo and throw down the most gravity-defying, badass dunk that this world has ever seen, but because you're not a star, it's almost like, all right, cool, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'll take your example, Anthony Edwards just throw down just a general, run-of-the-mill, still flashy, but dunk. It looks that much better because it's Anthony Edwards, you know what I mean? Carter Bryant could come in and throw down some of the nastiest dunks ever, but at the same time, like we said earlier, how is it going to carry any name as far as a publicity wise? And let's just face it, I'm sure you'll agree with this. Dunk contest has been a dying breed since that 90s, or since the mid 2000s with your Vince Carter, Jason Richardson. We got a little bit of a resurrection there when we had the Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine dunk contest, which I'll argue is probably one of the best dunk contests in history. Let's just say that was probably, with the exception of those Jordan Dominique years, that's probably up there for top 5 battles of the dunk contest I've ever seen. So what do you think could fix this besides getting stars?
That's really the only fix, is getting stars. And you need, I don't know, there just needs to be like a generational thing, because LeBron made it cool to not do the dunk contest. Vince Carter
Yes.
went on his podcast this last week and he said in 2004, the NBA offered him, Kobe, T-Mac, and LeBron James $1 million each to simply participate in it. Vince Carter was the only one who was willing to do it. All other guys said no, so it didn't end up happening. And that's the problem, is LeBron James, he made it not cool to do the dunk contest. So all these other stars, like, it's a tragedy that we are in 2026. Anthony Edwards has been in the league since 2020, and we have not seen him in a dunk contest. There's zero reason we shouldn't have Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, and I don't know, Cooper Flag in the dunk contest. Like, we would all love that, but it's never going to happen because these stars have been conditioned that they're too cool to do a dunk contest. Like, I'm not a LeBron hater. I think out of all Chicago Bulls fans, I probably defend the guy more than anybody, because I just think the LeBron stuff gets a little corny when people are mad about Jordan and whatever. But that's the one thing about him that's always pissed me off, is not only did he make it not cool to do the dunk contest, there were like 3 years in a row there where he was like, he would take the mic at the dunk contest and be like, I'm going to do it next year. And then he never followed up on it.
Yep. Broken promise, man.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I agree. Would you also say, and we'll mention this before we move on to the 3-point competition, is it just maybe the stars don't carry the name of being dunkers anymore? Is it more a 3-point driven league and big names don't dunk anymore? Because I guess LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, but like it seems like more players are known for shooting threes because we can get the 3-pointer with the 3-point contest is usually stacked with well-known names and talent. Hell, there's somebody in the dunk contest or the 3-point contest this year who's been on the injury list all year. But would you say that the dunk itself is being kind of phased out? More like are players more afraid to dunk now, or
Yeah, I would say that's definitely part of it, and that brings a larger conversation when we talk about why the game people seem to not be enjoying the NBA as much anymore. And I really think it's because the style that we have conditioned these guys to play, like smart basketball has taken over, analytic basketball has taken over, where yeah, it's more efficient to shoot 50, 60 threes and hope for the best. That's not fun basketball to watch, though. Fun basketball to watch when people are like, why are you so nostalgic for the 90s and the 2000s and these eras where the scoring was down and the game was uglier? I'm like, because I could watch a Laker game that was going to be like 82-80 and be mostly dumping the ball down to Shaq in the paint. But I might get 3 or 4 Kobe Bryant dunks where he yams it on somebody's head. He gets it
yes,
in the open court. He does something I've never seen before. He's not shooting, 10 threes in a game. So the game it's played smarter now from an analytics standpoint, but it's less entertaining. And that's my point with the All-Star game too, is people are like, the All-Star game isn't as competitive as it used to be. And I'm like, guys, it's not that it was never super competitive. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a joke what these guys do now. They don't show up at all. Where before they at least showed up and tried in the fourth quarter. Usually, when I was a kid in the 2000s, I'm tuning into a dunk contest. I'm seeing Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and Allen Iverson throwing alley oops to Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, doing cool stuff. The last 10 years, I tune into an All Star game. I see Steph Curry pull up from 30 feet. So then Damian Lillard decides to pull up from 40 feet. So then Steph pulls up from the opposite free throw. I'm like, that's not fun to watch. There's nothing
no,
entertaining about that. So yeah, the loss of the dunk in the NBA period it's hurt the game from an entertainment standpoint, and it's hurt the dunk contest and the All-Star weekend, I think.
yeah, I agree 100% because it was. I'm the same with you. I reference a lot of my NBA comparison now to the 90s. I think the 90s and the 80s were the golden age of basketball. And sure, you know what? The score was 80-76 sometimes, but you know what? It was a literal bar fight. It was a battle. You were fighting for those buckets. It wasn't just I'm going to sag off you, let you shoot a three, hope you miss it, and if you do, I'm going to run to the opposite side of the court, shoot a three, or kick it down to someone for a layup. It was actually like bumping, grinding, tough neck basketball. Like, and I wish that would come back, but I think we're a long ways away from that. Since we touched on the 3-point contest, we're moving on to that next. I'll read the participants right now. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please feel free to leave your picks on who you think are going to win, or I guess that would have already come out, who you thought was going to win in the comment section down below. 3-point contest is Devin Booker, Con Knipple, Damian Lillard, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Bobby Portis, and Norman Powell. So, like we said, a very stacked lineup for the 3-point contest. A couple questions coming out of here, and it's going to be, how is Damian Lillard participating? We'll start with that. And 2, how did Bobby Portis get invited to this?
That's the question I'm asking is who the hell invited Bobby? Like, don't get me wrong, he's a player. Like, he shoots threes, but the names you listed are all stars, or like Con Knipple's going to be an all-star someday. And then you got Bobby Portis. Did Bobby win last year or something? Is he the defending champ? I don't understand what
Well,
he's
Tyler
doing there.
Tyler Hero won last year, and he's not even on the roster.
So I have no idea what Bobby's doing there. As far as Dame goes, like, it's intriguing. He hasn't played this year, so it's like his way to remind people, like, hey guys, I'm still here, and it's the NBA's. Like, he's still a star. He's still one of the most loved players in the generation. So it gets eyeballs tuned in. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun to watch. I'll be rooting for Tyrese Maxey. He's become, next to Cade Cunningham, he's become my second favorite player to watch in the NBA. I just think he's dynamic. So I'll be rooting for him, but that's honestly the highlight of All-Star Weekend now is the 3-point contest.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what, me, because I'm an old head, the Shooting Stars is back. I'm going to be excited for that. But I just Google searched asking you shall receive. I think I just found out why Bobby Portis was invited to this is because he's shooting 45.1% from beyond the arc this year. So,
Okay.
I'm sure that alone garnished an invitation. But I'm with you because, like, even the one thing I ask about the 3-point contest, even though it's been the most consistent as far as the best event of the weekend, I think it across the board, it's always been my favorite. I just wish they would stop adding these weird like mini rules, like the long ball. Like keep it classy, man. 5 balls, a money ball, move on, man. And, that's it. Like I don't want my player to hit a shot from the logo for 4 points to get me. I don't want that to be the reason why somebody won. Sure, you can argue that makes you a better shooter, but really, like I want to see who can hit shots consistently like that.
Yeah,
You
we
said you.
don't need to change it at all. Like it's always been 30 balls. You got 5 balls a rack, 6 racks, 30 balls. Let's see how many shots you can make at 30 shots. It doesn't need to be any more than that. Like I said, if it takes you more than 30 seconds to explain the rules of your contest is screwed. Just keep it simple.
Yes. Yes. I'm not even a fan of, well, now you got a money ball rack and you can put it wherever you want. Like, what player is going to put that at their worst spot? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, just you got 5 balls or 4 balls in a money ball. If it's your worst spot on the court, that money ball could be the reason that you win. You know what I mean? It could save you. But again, old head just saying I miss back in the days events, man. It's been a tough transition. Wrapping that up, we're going to a very interesting All-Star game. I mean, I don't think I've seen anything like we definitely never seen anything like this. The All-Star game, I mean, it's pretty safe to say it's been a failing product in and of itself. I'll even put the Pro Bowl is up there too. It's getting up there. Is not a big fan of what they're doing. They did something this year where now we're doing international fans versus the United States, where we can see the United States get embarrassed on its own turf. Because let's just face it, man, there's no way the international team is losing this game.
I mean, yeah, if people even give 5% effort, there's just no way. I mean, I don't really understand how it works. It's like round robin and everybody plays everybody, but it's all stupid. Like I had a realization last year was the first time in my life I didn't watch the All-Star game.
Mhm.
And I won't watch it again this year. Well, I can't tell you the next time I'm going to watch it. I just had a realization 2 or 3 years ago. It's not meant for me. It's not meant for guys like me and you, guys who we're in our mid 30s. We've been basketball fans for 30 years now. This game is not. It sounds weird to say, but this game is not for basketball fans. This game, it's for kids. Like my buddy he told me his son is 6, at 6 turning 7. He's like, I only started watching the All-Star game again 2 years ago because he's into it. Like he recognizes players and he thinks it's fun to watch. He doesn't realize that they're not playing real basketball right now. Like he doesn't see like he's not at an age where he can really watch an NBA game and understand what's going on. He just sees his favorite players shooting threes and thinks it's cool. So that was like, okay, this isn't meant for me. I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. I'm not going to be one of those old dudes who's like Adam Silver ruined the NBA, ruined my All-Star game. Like it's not meant for me, and that's okay.
No.
Maybe 5 years from now when my daughter's getting to that age, maybe I'll watch again because maybe she'll be into it. But objectively, it's not meant for guys like me and you. As weird as that sounds, they don't appeal to basketball.
I honestly, that was probably one of the best way I could have heard it ever. And that's exactly that. If we did everything like we did back in the day, as far as basketball wise, you'd never spark interest in new young fans. And I do like that they're trying to appeal to the younger fans and really try to make people love basketball and follow basketball. So I really do enjoy that. It's not about what I want. You know what I mean? It's not about, like you said, it's not about what you and me want to see. It's about what can we do to get the viewer and spark the interest of the product to the fans. You know what I mean? You just give me a Bulls championship, you can keep the All-Star game. Justin, thank you for stopping by and shooting the breeze with me about a weirdly put together Bulls roster and an equally weird to put together All-Star weekend. Of course, I cannot send any guest home without a game of Horns or Thorns. For those of you at home who don't know what Horns or Thorns are, it's essentially a buy or sell, yes or no, a pick one or the other, where if you agree, you say horns. If you disagree, you say thorns. I give you 5 categories, and if you're ready, let's jump in the booth.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Question one of horns or thorns, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves re-sign Ayo Dosunmu after this year.
That's Horns. He's resigning there. All indications are he loves it there. I did see Bulls fans were like, maybe he loves Chicago so much that he's just going to sign here again this offseason. Nope. he loves winning. He's a very competitive player. And I will say, being in Minnesota, being surrounded by Wolves fans love him already. They're embracing him. He got a standing ovation at the first game. I know a girl who works for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Her job was to show Ayo and Julian Phillips and their families around the Target Center. And she said he's genuinely like the nicest athlete she's ever met. But he said he's loving Minnesota and he was asking a bunch of questions. Like, I guess he asked her, do people here really have Nas Reed tattooed on them? And she pulled up her pant to show where she has it tattooed on her calf. And he was like, all right, I dig it. Like, he likes the fans' energy. So yeah, he loves being there. He loves winning. And I'm happy for him. He's in a good situation. He can actually like, how much national media coverage has he gotten in his 3 games with the Wolves? He's gotten a bunch and he never got any here. So if you're an Io fan, you just got to be happy for him. And it's like seeing an ex-girlfriend who you weren't the best fit for her, and now you get to see her go off and get with the right guy. Like, you're a little bummed, you're a little hurt, but at the same time you're like, she deserves that. Good for her.
Right. I like that. I love that closing, man, because I said it myself, like, initially I was hurt, and felt like, man, we got fleeced, I mean, we lost our guy. Like, that was our fan favorite. Now he's going to another team, and it's like, wait a second, man. What was he really doing here for us? Like, and I don't mean that in a term of his skills were he wasn't good. I meant in the fan, like, what was he doing? He's working like I said in my short, he's working a dead end job with no hopes of a promotion, man. He's rotting away being a 6 man on a mediocre team. He'll never win a championship with the Bulls unless, like I said, some miracle happens. So then kind of flip my switch. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad he got sent to a team that could be on the cusp of taking home some hardware, because Ayo Dosunmu plays winning basketball, and I hope that he has nothing but success. And I'm a big fan of the Minnesota Timberwolves fan base, because you guys seem like you take care of your players, and you just alluded to how your players are loved and appreciated. So I think that was the best spot for him. Question number 2, equally as related here, and I'm going to say the Minnesota Timberwolves are the team represented in the Western Conference this year in the finals.
Oh, I got to go Thorns on that.
All right.
I would love to see it. I've told my wife ever since the Timberwolves have been like a serious contender. I'm like, telling you right now, if they make a finals, I'm dipping into our savings. I got it. I've never been to a finals game. I might never get the chance to go to a finals game. I got to experience what that's like. So would love to see it. Like, during trade deadline, I was praying they were going to trade for Giannis just because I thought that would have been cool as hell. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll be very happy if it happens.
Sounded like it was close. I mean, it sounded very close. But then at the buzzer there, the Bucks GM was saying, kind of put the kibosh and say he ain't going anywhere at least this year. So you can stop calling now. Question number 3, that's going to be directed towards the All-Star weekend, and that is Damian Lillard, despite being on the injury list, miraculously wins a 3-point competition.
I'm going to say Thorns, but that would be pretty cool. Like, it would be cool. We live in such a short attention span society that I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I shared like a video of Dame. I was like, man, it seems like we've kind of already forgot like how good peak Damian Lillard was. And it wasn't that long ago. He is still an active player, but his Milwaukee tenure went so bad. And honestly, his last couple of Blazers years weren't that great. But if Damian Lillard came out and like won it and was doing the Dame time celebration, and like that would be cool. As a basketball fan, that would be cool.
Yeah, I agree. I like I said, I'm a big fan of Dame's game, which is why I was gravitated towards Simon's a little bit more. But I just hope, like you said earlier, he hones in that shot and kind of takes smarter choices, gets a little bit higher shot IQ under his belt. All right, question number 4. We're coming back to the Windy City, and that is, the Chicago Bulls obtain a top 10 draft pick this year.
I'll say Horns, but it's probably going to be like 8, 9, maybe 10. I mean, it's so hard to say because the lottery is just a total crapshoot now. So maybe they get lucky. They get number 1. I will say I'm not a college basketball guy, but I am starting to pay a little bit more attention just because it seems like this class is sick. The top 4 for sure, you're getting a star. And then I'm even seeing guys like Mikael Brown Jr., that Wagner kid at Illinois. Like, it seems like if you got a top 10 pick, you're going to get a hell of a player this draft. So the Bulls might be all right. They might not get a franchise changer like a like a Peterson or a Boozer, but if they fall to 8 or 9, they might get a really good player, which right now, man, that's like I'll be happy with with a really good player. There's so many times I'm watching other basketball and like I'm watching the Pistons and I see Ron Holland, who's a good young player, and I'm like, God, I would kill for a Ron Holland on this team. Like just
Facts.
give me something like that. Like I love, and this is people think that's a dig at Modest. It's not a dig at Modest. I need more than Modest. Like Modest is literally all that I have. I just wish I had more than Modest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're not asking. You don't want to ask for too much, but you just want a little bit more. That's all.
I just want Modest to like. I want Modest to have friends. I want Modest to have young guys that he's playing with that are fun too. Because you look at like the Pistons for are a great example. They got Holland and Duran is like 21 or 22 years old. Like they have good young pieces. The Chicago Bulls, we have Modest Buzelis. We don't have any other good young pieces.
Yeah, facts and facts. Question number 5, and this is coming back to your shores in Minnesota here, and that is we will see a Minnesota hosted All-Star game for the first time since you guessed it earlier, 1994, within the next 5 years.
I'm gonna say Thorns because they seem to only go to like new stadiums. So the Timberwolves, they've been in the Target Center for 30 something years now, and that's like one of the buzzes with the new ownership. Like people are saying Alex Rodriguez wants a new stadium, and they should get a new stadium because going to the Target Center it does kind of suck objectively compared to other places. But I don't think they're gonna get it. If anything, they're just gonna do more renovations. So it's hard to see them like they're just going to target new places, I feel like.
That's a good answer. I like that answer because you're right. Yeah, Intuit Dome just got built, and they got an All-Star nod despite the Clippers being the Clippers right now. So, all right, Justin, thank you for participating in Horns or Thorns like we always do. As a gift for participating in Horns or Thorns, you've received uninterrupted airtime. The floor is yours. Address the Bulls fans, Horniacs, whoever you want. Floor is yours. Go right ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it. Bulls fans, I would just say if you're one of the fans out there, I've been getting a lot of flack on Twitter the last week or so. People saying I'm the most negative Bulls fan out there. I would just say I'm not that negative. I'm usually pretty level-headed. The thing is, on Twitter, negativity wins. So if I post something where I say I wish Modest Buzelis did this, 5,000 views. If I post something where I'm like, man, it was really nice that Modest that step back Modest just had, that was nice. 100 views. So before you guys come at my neck whenever I have any criticism to say about this Bulls team, just look at the grand scope of the tweets. You'll see I'm really not that negative about the team. I'm just realistic about it.
Facts. And honestly, like sometimes Bulls fans just don't want to hear a certain level of truth. You know what I mean? You know, and I'll give you this. Like you don't have to be a Bulls fan. Like you right now, your franchise, like we said, is performing leaps and bounds better than the Chicago Bulls. At any point, you could have jumped ship and said, "Hey, you guys are like a dysfunctional family. I'm out." But you still choose to cheer for a team that's not even in your city. That gains the most respect. You have the most respect from me because, like I said, you don't have to cheer for them, and you still do. So that's respect, man. And you're absolutely right. You could post something where it's happy. That was really cool. He did awesome, and it's like one like and six insights, and then you post something like this guy needs to be traded, and you got a million angry fans saying you don't know ball. That guy needs to stay. You don't know ball. It's like, all right, come on, man. Let's chill. We're all in this sinking ship together, man. It's not like one of us is suffering more than the other.
It's dark times to be a Bulls fan, and living in Minnesota, there's really only been 2 times where it was like it'd be better to be a Wolves fan. One of those times is now. The other time was during KG's prime. Those were the only 2 times. And a testament to how loyal of a Bulls fan I am, I have an extensive jersey collection. Not once in my life, not one time in my life have I owned a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. I didn't get a Kevin Garnett one. I don't have an Anthony Edwards one. There was no Kevin Love. There was no Ricky Rubio. Now,
Ayo.
the girl that I know who works for the team, she was like, "Do you want me to get you an Ayo jersey?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, get me an Ayo jersey." Like I'll rock the hell out of his jersey because if when they're in the playoffs this year, I'll definitely be going to a playoff game cheering for them, watching Ayo. So yeah, it's a loyalty thing. It's blind dumb loyalty. I made this choice when I was 6 years old and Michael Jordan indoctrinated me. I'm 36 now, so it's too late to jump ship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes love is love. That's all you can do. And I love this team, and I don't care. We could go 0-82. We could go 82-0. You'll yield the same. You'll yield the same outcome from me. I'll still watch every single game, and that's about it. That's the beauty of sports. You don't always win. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you lose by a lot, but sometimes you win. Justin, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I do enjoy when you come on. You're one of the few people I do value your vision of basketball because you do tell the truth. You have a good way of looking at basketball, and I respect everything about it, especially being somebody who wasn't, naturally Chicago born. You have that knowledge of both cities. You have your knowledge of your Minnesota and of the Chicago Bulls. I do respect it wholeheartedly. Please do tell the fans where they can find you and where they can see some awesome videos of your dog running through the snow. I love those videos.
Yeah, so if you're not following, it's the same handle on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, at J_talks_hoops. Most of my Twitter stuff is just talking Bulls basketball because that's just what we do. The content stuff, the videos, they're not Bulls focused unless the Bulls are in the news. I try to take more of a grand NBA scope. So like today I think today my video was best player to never make an NBA All-Star game. Yesterday my video was defending Paulo Banchero because everybody seems to be hating him these days. So it's just broad NBA views. So I definitely appreciate you having me on. I love it when I get to come on here because I feel like I'm like a very realistic Bulls fan, and I respect guys like you, Phil. I'm gonna miss a bunch of people here, but you guys, even through all the negativity, all the crap this team does, you guys still manage to spin positive ways about it. And I know you guys get a lot of flack in your comments for that, and people say you're part of the problem. Fans can never be part of the problem. That's just absurd. But it's admirable that you guys are able to still stay positive, and it probably would be really easy for you to just go scorched earth and be like, this team sucks, I'm gonna do a whole podcast about it. But like that's not gonna do any good for you. That's not gonna do any good for your podcast followers, your fans. So even though sometimes our opinions differ, I respect you guys, the what do you guys call it? The borders without, or the Bulls without
Those
borders, or
borders.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All you guys there, you guys all do a great job. So shout out to you guys.
yeah, that's not even that's Phil's project. I've been on a couple times and really happy to be on because it's interesting to hear. Like I always equate it to like the meeting of the five father or the five families and the Godfather. You know what I mean? It's like you got five different views of it, and it's cool because like yeah, they don't always get along and or not get along. They don't always agree, but like the love of the team is still there. It's hard. How do I explain this? You're gonna love your team. You're gonna love your team no matter what. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be hating on somebody because oh you're part of the problem because you're supporting this. No, I'm not supporting it. I just don't have any say in what goes on. So I might as well enjoy it. Like who knows? Maybe from this team, two or three of these players that are on trial go on and help us be that piece that put us in the playoffs. We won't know unless we watch the games. I mean, it's still high. I mean, we still see some exciting stuff during the games. I mean, I know I'm fishing for that positivity you're talking about, but I love watching this team, man. I love the good times and the bad, and I think that's like you share the same love for the game. It's part of appreciating the game. Is sometimes you come out on top, sometimes you fall 20 yards short of the goalpost. So it is what it is. Justin, once again, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to many future working with you in the future. I do have some insider information on we might be doing some projects together. I don't want to fully release any details until they're finalized, but I'm pretty excited about this, as I hope you are, and I look forward to get this going. With that being said, Chicago, please keep your head up, man. Like this is, I know it's the start to dark age, but dark ages, but we gotta be happy for our team, man. We can't have it all. We can't all be the Oklahoma City Thunder. With that being said, enjoy your All-Star weekend. Treat your ladies or your gentlemen or whoever, fairly. Treat them to a good night on Valentine's Day. What are your plans?
Me,
If the
me, the
wife
wife
is
and
in
the
the
daughter
room, you
just
don't have to.
me, the wife and the daughter just hanging out. Got a 2-month-old baby, so it was funny. My wife was like, "What do you want to do on Valentine's Day?" I was like, "My mom will probably watch Amelia. We can go get dinner or something." She's like, "No, I want to do something with Amelia." And I was like, "What the hell are we supposed to do with a 2-month-old daughter? There's no playbook for like go out and do this. It's different when they're like toddlers and stuff. So it'll just be a chill night in with her. How about you?"
You know what? We were the same. It was one of those. You don't want to go out for dinner. My son now he's about 6 months old, so he's at the age where he can take them to restaurants. We still try to avoid like highly trafficked area. Like for whatever reason, Valentine's Day is packed everywhere you go. Whether you go to a steakhouse or you go to McDonald's, it's wall to wall with people. So the wife and I were like, let's bypass just having to force ourselves go out just for the sake of going out. Let's cook a meal at home. Let's watch a good movie and spend time with the kids. So we'll be doing the same thing as you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, indeed. With that being said, we encourage our Bulls fans and our Hornets to keep their hoops high and their horns even higher. Good night, everyone, and thanks for joining.